Mike Patrick, Ed Cunningham. It's great to have you with us. Dr. Jerry Punch will join us shortly. Chris Peterson had such a brilliant run at Boise State, regarded as an offensive mastermind. But here at Washington in his second year, the biggest impact's been on defense.
Well, we started the day with a not-so-fast, my friend, from our colleague. I'll end with one. Pete Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator who came over from Boise State, would tell you, yeah, they were great on offense, but really it was a salty defense that got them into the national conversation in a non-Power 5 school. Last year, Washington had 4 players drafted in the top 44 of the NFL draft, and this may be a better defense. They held USC to 12 points last week in the last game of the Steve Sarkisian era. But the bad news coming out of that game was Azeem Victor, the middle linebacker, who is really essential the way they align their defense against the run, is suspended for the first half after a targeting call ejection in the second half against USC. He's a big loss. Two down linemen Washington plays. That middle backer is so key against Oregon's good run game.
The question mark for Oregon tonight, the same one that it's been all year. What about the quarterback play? Let's find out more from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Yeah, for Oregon, how do you replace a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback like Marcus Mariota? Well, back in August, they got an FCS All-American transfer, Vernon Adams, who came in the program. Now, Adams' numbers at Eastern Washington were impressive, as was his play in the first 3 quarters in an Oregon uniform until this happened. A vicious hit that pinned his right hand against his shoulder pads between that and the helmet of the tackler, fracturing his right index finger on his throwing hand. Now, he couldn't play after that. Let me explain to you what happens. The index finger on the throwing hand is the rudder. It guides the football and helps the football roll off into a tight spiral. Now, that has been 6 weeks since that happened. Supposedly, the fracture is healed, and we are being told that Adams will indeed start tonight. And here's the big question. Will he be able to grip the football when it's wet here on the field? Mike?
Well, Jerry, he sure could grip it last year when he played against Washington. Look at the numbers he put up. 31 of 46 passing, 475 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Basically, he auditioned for this job.
Ran the same, almost the exact same offense at Eastern Washington. Came in late in August, had to graduate a class. Has only played 3 competitive quarters where he was healthy. Let's see the step he takes. The problem he's had with that injury is the long throw. He's an incredibly accurate long thrower. If he gets that back, this Oregon offense will be very dangerous.
Tristan Vizcaino to kick off. The ball bobbled by Nelson, comes up the sideline. Ball is loose and out of bounds, but he stepped out of bounds back near the 13-yard line. Here comes Vernon Adams, the young man, the graduate transfer from Eastern Washington. In his career, first 3 years, threw for more than 10,000 yards, 110 passing touchdowns. He is 29-8 as a starting quarterback now at 2 schools. This season, he's thrown for over 600 or almost 600 yards and rushed the ball for over 100, and that's because he has been limited by the hand injury that Jerry told us about. He wants to throw on first down, steps up and throws, incomplete. Intended for Dwayne Stanford.
And drop by Stanford. Good early throw by Vernon Adams. He's a shorter guy at 5'11", a little mechanical when he throws, but he can be deadly accurate, especially on the long throws. Washington's defense last year, very young in the secondary, still young, but much more confidence, and they'll play more zone today.
Royce Freeman is the running back, and Freeman third in the country with 859 yards rushing coming in. Scott Lawyer makes the tackle. And certainly this year may be the year of the running back in college football.
Well, this is one of the best. A little shakeup on the offensive line, though, for Oregon. Left guard Matt Pearson is out with an injury. So for the first time, Evan Bowler gets a start at that guard position. Not much running room there. This is a very... And that's for Washington, that's Keyshawn Bierria, who he was the only returning starter from the front from last year's team. A very good blitzer, had a nice sack against USC last week.
Second leading tackler on the ball club, able to get up and walk off under his own power. But that means they're down 2 linebackers, he and Victor.
And against this run game, and now with the way that Oregon can throw the ball on 3rd and 7 and run it from the quarterback position, a much different defense you're thinking about than when it was Jeff Locke at quarterback for Oregon last week against Washington State.
Keep your eye on their favorite receiver. It's Braylon Addison, number 2 in the slot to the top of your screen. They look the other way instead. Now pressure coming. Deep for Stanford. And he's down to the 36-yard line. Adams got away from the pressure. I think his finger is just fine. He spun that one pretty good.
And Stanford makes a nice catch after the drop, but that was a beautiful throw. Good pressure, but Adams so elusive. This is going to be a much different Oregon team with this guy at quarterback. You can already see it.
Freeman straight ahead. You ask Helfrich about his running back, and all he says he's a stud.
Pretty good coverage, and Sidney Jones lost his eyes. His eyes went as Vernon Adams went to run. Sidney Jones took his eyes off of his target, Dwayne Stanford, and what a terrific long throw on the run. Mind you, that finger looks pretty healthy right now.
Adams to hand off to Taj Griffin. Griffin, very agile, very quick. They see he has a great future, and Travis Feeney, one of the outstanding defenders for this Husky group, made the stop.
And Washington plays with just 2 linemen with their hand on the ground, and both Feeney and Littleton are taller, leaner guys who do an excellent job with long arms and speed setting the edge. It looked like that was going to be a hook block, and Feeney beat it.
And they missed a hold on the outside as well. Feeney was complaining to the officials. 3rd down and long. They show blitz, but only come with 4. Adams caught in the pocket. Now throws deep, has a man open, end zone, touchdown. Darren Carrington, his first catch of the season. Carrington, coming off of a suspension, gives them deep speed, and Vernon Adams laid it out there for him.
Well, that Darren Carrington, the Oregon fans are so happy to see number 3 back, but they have to be just as happy to see number 7 back. Carrington was on a tear at the end of last season, was suspended before the national championship game, and this is his first game back. It was a failed drug test suspension, and now a 2-point conversion.
2-point conversion, and they won't get it. The ball is loose. And a scrum at the 4-yard line. They will line up that way, and if you don't defend it properly, if you don't have balance with your numbers, they'll go for 2. They did that time, but didn't make it.
What a terrific job in a collapsing pocket by Vernon Adams, and Ducks fans have to be so happy to see 7 back and a healthy finger for number 3.
Oregon does what they normally do all the time, that's score fast. That's Lake Washington on the Horizon Husky Stadium redone, and they really did a spectacular job with it in a spectacular location.
As in a full disclosure, as an alum of this wonderful university, my first time in the new Husky Stadium, and I was blown away at how nicely they redid it. It kept the charm, it made it more intimate, kept the size, and we heard in that first drive from Oregon, it kept the noise. This is a beautiful venue.
Returned by Chico McClatcher, takes him out to about the 25-yard line. Let's take a look at both teams' plan for success here, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, we know who the quarterback is now. It's Vernon Adams, but the success of this Oregon offense has been, even when Marcus Mariota was quarterback, run, run, run. It really does set up everything that they do, and we've already seen with Royce Freeman they can do that. And for Washington, Jake Browning's going to need to hit some long throws. Last week in the win on the road against USC, 3 or 4 long throws that could have been big gainers or even touchdowns were missed. They need to pull some Oregon defenders away to help out a young offensive line.
Browning in the pistol. Wants to throw on first down and should have been intercepted. Right in the belly of Arion Springs, and he dropped it.
I'm not so sure Springs didn't read this route right from the start. That's Dante Pettis that Browning is trying to hit. He has to double clutch it. And it looked like there was a little bit of contact there. Good job by Springs playing physically. But that was almost a pick to start the ball game after a touchdown by Oregon. That could have been a little rough.
Did you notice how Browning stared him down? That's the only place his eyes went. They go on the delay. And they'll only get 3 or 4 yards out of it. Miles Gaskin, who is getting the bulk of the work at tailback, carried that ball. Browning had a standout high school career, threw for 16,775 yards, a state record, but he set the record, 91 touchdown passes in a single season as a senior. He is the first true freshman to start a season opener at quarterback for the Huskies. And now he faces 3rd and about 7. Pressure coming, hangs in the pocket and throws a strike. Beautiful pass caught by Dante Pettis, his 10th grab of the season.
Reason that Browning comes and gets a starting job as a true freshman. Last year's starter, Siler Miles, retired due to a hip injury. Little behind, nice catch by Pettis. And watching Browning, he is fighting some accuracy issues. Tighter windows, a little harder. He's working on his mechanics, as most young quarterbacks have to.
Empty backfield throws underneath. Looked like motion up front before the ball was snapped. Trey Adams, the left tackle, may have started early.
False start, number 72 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Trey Adams, a true freshman left tackle. It's a trend we've seen.
Yes.
Clemson, Ohio State, and now Washington, all with true freshmen starting at the all-important left tackle position. A good big-time recruit from the state of Washington, but he's got his hands full. DeForest Buckner is a top 10, top 15 NFL pick that's going to be lining up over his head the whole night, or at least on that side.
1st and 15, and it's a draw play to Miles Gaskin.
Gaskin was the hot hand last week. The starter is usually Dwayne Washington, but Gaskin, a true freshman, 5'9", 192, so he's a little smaller guy. He has terrific patience, great vision, a terrific cutter. Jonathan Smith, the offensive coordinator, said he runs with poise.
Jeff Lindquist is the new quarterback. He's a big kid, about 240. They run the jet sweep instead with Dwayne Washington, and that gets them nothing. Beautifully defensed. Excuse me, that was McClatcher on the jet sweep, and Prevost came up from his linebacker spot to make the stop.
And Lindquist was in the battle for the starting job, but suffered an ankle injury in camp, missed 10 days of camp. But he's almost 250 pounds, a better runner than Browning, so they'll bring him in to run some of that. We see the jet sweep to McClatcher, a young man they're trying to get more involved. But this is part of the package because Browning not the runner that they maybe want at quarterback sometimes, so they bring in the guy who can do it.
3rd and 6, empty backfield again. 3-man rush, they drop 8 into coverage. The pass underneath, on target and complete for a first down. What a throw that time, and Dante Pettis makes another grab. Tyree Robinson was right there, but Browning had to fit that one in there.
Well, Pettis is a guy, when we were talking to Jonathan Smith, it looks like he controlled it through the catch. The ball maybe touched the ground just a touch. It can touch the ground, just has to control it through, and Pettis making a couple of really nice catches. Good throw down and away. Like that up just a touch, but great catch.
Back to the ground game for a couple. And this is an Oregon defense that has been gutted all year long. The best thing they've done is stop the run, but they haven't stopped the pass, and the scoreboard's been lit up against them.
And one of the reasons you see Charles Nelson, number 6 right there, who was a wide receiver, trained some at safety during the spring, but because of an injury to Reggie Daniels, didn't play last week against Washington State, available today. But Nelson, with 3 days of practice last week before Washington State, goes to safety. So to say it's patchwork is an understatement.
Trying to set up a little swing, and they do to Miles Gaskin. And Gaskin to the 42. You mentioned Nelson. He's a 170-pound safety. Now, you might see that at St. Mary's Teachers College, but you're not going to see it at this level.
And last week, Nelson had a couple of nice tackles and broke up the pass. But here, Gaskin just really has a good feel for blocking. There were a lot of white jerseys there. Now you have a manageable third down in a position where if you're Washington, you have to be thinking 4 downs the way Oregon looks on offense. So don't have to get it all here.
3rd and 3. They'll throw underneath to Gaskin, and they won't get any of it thanks to a heck of a play by Jawan Williams.
You got to go for it here on 4th down. This side of the field, the way Oregon looks like they're going. Excellent speed that time. Good read on the play. And now Washington, I think this could be, you're in a shotgun, but I think this could be an inside run play or a toss sweep.
A little more than a yard. And now they drop back. It looks like the quarterback will punt it. And does, and gets a nice bounce. It's out of bounds between
4th and 1. 4th and 1 on your 39-yard line, or the opponent's 39-yard line. I'm shocked you're not going for it there.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Mini. The 0 for 15 sales event is happening now.
The first thing you see on the Seattle skyline, the Space Needle, which was built for the 1962 World's Fair. You know who had a great view of the Seattle Space Needle? Dr. Fraser Crane from his Elliott Bay Towers apartment. Our nod to Kelsey Grammer.
Pretty sure that was a stock photo behind his shoulder on the soundstage.
You think so?
Yeah, but I get the point. Most people don't know the official Husky mascot is actually a Malamute. It's a little local knowledge for you, Mike.
So why aren't they the Washington Malamutes?
Because Huskies, I think, sounds a little easier.
This is going to be motion before the snap.
False start, number 7 of the offense. Half the distance of the goal, still first down.
Well, Darren Carrington with a little bit of the butterflies, his first game back. Just blew up at the end of last year in the Pac-12 championship against Arizona. 126 yards, 165 the next week in the semis, and then, as I mentioned, suspended for the national championship game and just back.
Freeman, the remaining setback. They fake it to him and throw out in the flat to Addison. And Braylon Addison, who is by far their leading receiver, made that catch. He missed all of last season.
One thing Mark Helfrich said that they get with Vernon Adams that they had forever, it seemed like, with Marcus Mariota, is just a calm presence at quarterback, a guy who knows what's going on, has a really good feel. And you saw that seemed simple. That was a nice pickup after the penalty.
Give it to Freeman. 3rd in the country in gross yards, 6th in the country in average per game, over 143 yards rushing. Tupou made the tackle.
And we talked to Mark Helfrich about Vernon Adams transferring from Eastern Washington. They had a connection to his high school. They knew he was a good guy. They knew he liked to study, would do well in school, and be successful. So it was a long process before they decided to take the transfer.
3rd and 6. Pressure coming, and they'll have to kick it away as Adams only reaches the 16. Tupou, along with Gardenhire up in the corner, made the stop.
This defensive line for Washington, missing Danny Shelton, the first-round draft pick in the NFL, is big, active. We mentioned they have longer guys on the edge, bigger bodies in the middle. They're collapsing the pocket, and good coverage by a secondary that was burnt last year by Eastern Washington and Vernon Adams. They had nice coverage.
Ian Wheeler on the punt. Pettis waits back at his 43-yard line. There's a flag down, and they'll blow the play dead.
Boy, if Washington was in the neutral zone, that Washington's pointing like they were drawn off sides, but Washington clearly in the neutral zone. If someone moved from Oregon to bring them in, the penalty would be on Oregon. But if it's on Washington, it's a first down. That is a huge non-play foul.
4th and 4.
Yeah.
Protracted discussion here.
Offside, number 28 of the defense. 5-yard penalty.
Big mistake.
First down.
You see the disgust on the face of Chris Peterson. Psalm Wuching was the man who was offside.
Right here in the middle of the screen. Yep. Well, and you saw the guy who's lined up as the left guard move his hands before that, and so you wonder if Wuching, who was pulled off sides, but what a huge penalty. You punt You choose to punt on the other side of the field. It works because you get the field position, and now you leave Oregon on the field with a non-competitive foul.
Freeman. First chance to get into the open. The ball came loose. Was he down or not? Kevin King knocked it away. No signal from the officials yet. Washington football is to call on the field. And Mark Helfrich saying it was down.
Elbow down, ball out. Yeah, anything except the hand.
Cause it.
Well, anything that hits the ground on your body except your hand, you are down. So that ball is not coming out. This will be overturned. He, from both shots we've seen, including that ball would have to move. If it moves even just a little bit on its way to the ground, I don't think that they could overturn it. But it looks to me like that ball was frozen. Wow. They have not stopped this. I'm shocked that they're not looking at this. There you go. And remember, it's when the referee is buzzed.
This was timeout. The ruling of fumble recovery by the defense on the preceding play is under review.
Good job by the replay booth getting that buzzer buzzed.
Initially ruled as a fumble. And this has taken forever, and I really don't know why.
After review, the runner was down before the loss of possession. It will be second down for Oregon at the 28-yard line.
Watch if the ball, as Freeman is going down, moves at all. It doesn't. He's got control of it. Anything that hits the ground except the hand is down. So as soon as his elbow and forearm hit, he's down. Then the ball comes loose. That's a good overturn by the replay officials. And timely. I was a little shocked that Helfrich was not going to get a timeout there because the assistant coaches do have TVs in their booth. They can see these replays now. It's a little surprised they weren't getting a timeout.
Washington showing blitz. Freeman runs right through the space that was vacated. They couldn't have called a better play if Washington had announced what they were doing.
It's really important to remember that Vernon Adams ran this almost, not exact same, but a very similar conceptual offense at Eastern Washington where when you read a defense and you see a blitz, sometimes you run right at it because if you chop through it, then the secondary's not there.
Freeman again, this time drilled by Tupou, who has already had an impactful game from tackle.
And for the Oregon Ducks to get Vernon Adams back and see if he's healthy. He has only played 3 healthy quarters this entire season after choosing to transfer from FCS Eastern Washington after last season. Got here in August, took a while to get going.
Adams with the inside handoff to Benoit. And Kenai Benoit, who has carried the ball only 26 times this year. The third tailback right now in the pecking order.
And we have not seen Taj Griffin, who, has 1 carry. We haven't seen him as much. But a good third down here for Washington. They have not had to blitz to get pressure on the pocket.
Benoit stays in the game on third. Fake to him. Adams throws incomplete, intended for Devin Allen. And Gardenhire was there.
What a terrific throw by Vernon Adams. This guy can be really accurate. What a difference he makes. And this looked to me like a drop by Allen. Great work in the pocket, squared his shoulders back, and that's hits Allen right in the hands for the drop. That's a big third down conversion miss. That was good. Gardenhire got the hand in there. He might have got a little piece of it there at the end. Good finish of the play by him.
So they pick up about 30 yards, have to punt the ball anyway, and they get a great coffin corner bounce. Looked like it went out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. A 51-yard coffin corner kick. Tomorrow morning, ESPN has a great way for you to get ready for the day's NFL action. First, NFL Insider's Sunday edition with Week 6 injury news, fantasy updates, early breaking stories at 10 a.m. Eastern. Then at 11, Sunday NFL Countdown with Boomer and the guys. It all starts at 10 on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
But before you change your mind towards the NFL, get a little Oregon-Washington. 11 straight wins for Oregon in what was a series dominated by Washington in the late 80s, early 90s into 2000. It's completely flipped.
Washington trying to get a little running room. Straight up the middle goes Gaskin. Huge run for the Huskies, 35 yards.
This is a young, inexperienced offensive line, but they've started now 2 games in a row together. Last week against USC and now against a good Oregon front. And Gaskins gives them some pop. He is a really talented young running back. He sees things well, has a great cut. 1 foot in the ground, and he's going the other direction. He looks like the real deal.
He's only 5'8", but has 192 pounds on that frame, and he is strong. Over the middle to the tight end, Joshua Perkins.
If you get a running game going for a young quarterback and a young offensive line, can you imagine what that does for them? Browning looks so much better right now than he did in the second half against USC. He was off a bit. The run game really saved them. He had a good throw at the end.
Comes out throwing. Renfro makes the catch as we go to the studio for Chris Cotter. Chris, a lot of people were talking about Arizona State as a team with the ability to go against Utah and knock them off. 4-man rush. Pressure coming. Big number 92, Henry Mondu, gets his 3rd sack of the season.
Mondu getting his 2nd start tonight, a sophomore who came in as a 250-pound tight end and has turned himself into a 290-pound starting defensive end. And Kirkland, the right tackle, never gets his hand on him. Mondu slaps, goes to the inside. And this is a guy who you're starting to see Oregon have a lot of 6'5", 290 defensive linemen go to the NFL. Mondu looks like he might be in that line.
They used to call those lookout blocks. I don't think he even had time to say lookout.
He said hello for a brief second with his hands.
Bouncer inside the 30. There is a flag down. .38-yard kick, no return, obviously.
This game started out like it was going to be 35-27 in the first quarter, and all of a sudden, now it feels like a Big 8 game.
Number 10 of the return team. The penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick. First down.
All right, Jerry Punch working the sidelines for us. What do you have, Doc?
Guys, Royce Freeman, when he was 13 years old, was considered to be the most gifted baseball player in the San Diego area. He could hit the ball 375 feet. He threw an 85-mile-an-hour fastball, and yet at the end of the 8th grade, he decided to give up baseball and chase college football or high school football rushing records. He broke records set by Reggie Bush and Ricky Williams, and in spite of giving up baseball, when he was a senior, he still got calls from the Philadelphia Phillies wanting him to work out to possibly look at draft status.
Jerry, most of us wanted to throw an 85-mile-an-hour fastball when we were in college. He's a remarkable athlete. Freeman's got it. There's another flag down back in the backfield.
And Freeman is such a gifted runner and so smooth for 230 pounds. He's a very, very thick, powerful guy.
Number 72 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. First down will be repeated.
72 is the center, Matt Haggerty.
He's another graduate transfer from Notre Dame as he gets the tackle on Elijah Qualls.
Nice takedown.
I mean, just a takedown move. But whew,
look at
can this guy move? He is really gifted. Keyshawn Vieira there, standing there flat-footed. But the penalty, a big one.
Adams with the riding handoff to Freeman, and he is tackled by 4 purple jerseys led by Psalm Wu-Ching.
Wu-Ching, who was the man who jumped off sides on that punt that gave the first down, so now getting some run at that linebacker spot. We mentioned Azim Victor out for the first half, so starting to rotate some guys through.
Adams flushed, directing traffic. Now he'll keep and pays the price as he got to the 20. You know, when we're getting ready for the games, you're always looking for an oddity from players. What do they do off the field that's interesting? Wu-Ching is a professional fire dancer. Never seen that one before.
And that there was Ben Burke-Kirven. Good shoulder tackle, but Adams trying to pick up an extra yard. A little dangerous there at the end.
Adams with plenty of time. Rifles to a wide open Carrington. And Carrington, a very dynamic receiver, ends up with 24 yards.
Yeah, we spent a little time talking to Bob Gregory, the linebacker coach and assistant head coach for Washington. He said that Washington was going to play a little more zone this year than they did last year against Adams at Eastern Washington. That zone there, Gardenhire got pushed off so far at that corner, it opened up just too big of a hole. That is way too much territory given up by the Huskies.
You can only cover receivers for so long.
That's a big 3rd and 10 conversion.
Getting to the outside, Freeman. He's 230 pounds, and he's got the moves of somebody who's 205.
Looks like he took a pretty good hit there. Left arm dangling a little bit, and he is awfully gifted for how big he is. He's a tireless worker in practice, great leader on this team.
Very, very quick first quarter, and the advantage goes to the Ducks. They're up 6-0 over the Huskies here in Seattle.
What a difference a week makes for Oregon. Last week in their shocking loss against Washington State, they just couldn't throw the ball in the second half. But with Vernon Adams back and looking very healthy, he's a magician in the pocket. He's a guy who's played a ton of ball against really high-level competition. Remember, Eastern Washington beat Oregon State one year. They played Washington last year, but he has bought time and looked great tonight.
Adams hands it off to Griffin, and Taj Griffin unable to get outside because of Buda Baker. Coming down from the safety spot to make a tackle in the backfield.
Baker, a young man who had to play a ton last year as a true freshman. They were replacing a lot of people, and they really like this guy. They used the name Earl Thomas to describe him, of course. The all-pro from the Seahawks. He's a gifted guy on his feet.
Pressure on Adams, and they got him. Vieira and Wu-Ching applying the pressure.
Awesome call by Pete Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator for Washington. On 3rd and medium, they have not blitzed. So this time they bring the first blitz. He's tired of watching this young man work the pocket. The back is late to come over. Vieira, who was injured earlier, another big sack, had a nice one against USC, is a terrific rusher. Good call by the defensive staff of Washington.
Wheeler to punt. A driving spiral that sends Pettis inside the 15. He won't get much of anything on the return. Johnny Munt, backup tight end, was down on special teams. 2-yard return, 44-yard punt. And now let's take a look at this week's AP rankings, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
How about this one? Did you see the end of that Michigan State-Michigan game?
It's going to leave a bruise.
Well, as that game was winding down, Michigan, you could see they were right on that number where they couldn't take a knee. They had to run some offensive plays. They go to punt it. The punter fumbles the snap. Michigan State, with the clock expiring, returns it for a touchdown. So Michigan State stays in there, but I've been through the college playoff process. I did that 2 weeks ago. They'll look at that and they'll say, wait a minute, that's a win with an asterisk next to it for sure.
Browning gets it out to Mickens. And he's stopped by his opposing number 1, Arion Springs. Browning gets it out of his hands quickly.
Well, the way that a lot of offenses are played at the high school level now, we showed the numbers of, he had 91 touchdown passes. And it's not just in competition in season. These young men travel all over the In California, they have 7-on-7 leagues, so they get a lot of reps now, way more than they did 20, 30 years ago at that position.
Goes under center this time. Gaskin will get a. You mentioned 91 touchdowns. That was as a senior.
Right. That was 1 year.
Just 1 year.
Very highly recruited guy, and of course, Chris Peterson and the staff, Jonathan Smith, who he hired to come here, the former Oregon State quarterback, now the offensive coordinator quarterback coach here, is doing a really nice job. They have a great track record with quarterbacks, of course, at Boise State, so able to go in and get Browning, one of the top recruited guys in the country.
Deontay Cooper is the running back on this play. This is his 6th season. He has had 3 ACL surgeries, enduring all those injuries, looking for a chance to play, and Browning misfires.
That was a miss. You can see Browning going over there, not really sure what the route was supposed to be on that side. He thought it was a hitch route right past the sticks, and Pettis continued another 3 yards beyond that.
Those are the ones that turn into pick sixes.
And you know, you're sitting at 3rd and 2.5. You think maybe you run here, you call something that may have been open, and you get a miscommunication. It's a tough one.
Durkee punting to Addison. May have been tipped. It's a great bounce for Washington.
Yeah, that looked like Dwayne Stanford may have got a piece, but didn't really matter, did it?
No, because it's a 57 punt. The 57-yard punt when you look at it in the paper in the morning.
Maybe he didn't tip it. Maybe he pushed it the other way.
Week 6 of Monday Night Football focuses on the NFC East at 8:15. Eli Manning leads the first-place Giants against the Eagles. Coverage starts on Monday Night Countdown at 6 on ESPN and also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Well, the big talk around L.A. this week, of course, the firing of Steve Sarkisian at USC. He is now in treatment for alcohol addiction. We wish him the best. But Chip Kelly's name, of course, is the name that all of the SC fans have been at Twitter about because of some struggles this year with the Eagles. Of course, Chip Kelly had an amazing run as a head coach here at Oregon before going on to the Eagles. But I think that would be a terrific hire for USC, and I think there's another Kelly that would fit, and that might be Brian Kelly. I know that sounds insane, but USC is one of the top 3 or 4 jobs in the country.
Pressure and the throw underneath, complete to the tight end, Bayless. Nice job by Vernon Adams to keep the play alive.
The pocket is being destroyed by the Washington front. I mean, they're getting pressure from 1 or 2 positions almost every snap. But Adams, gosh, he's just so good in the pocket. 3rd and short. I'm not sure you have to throw it here. This is something where you could look for a Vernon Adams run. You don't want him running as much as maybe you would if he didn't have that injured finger, of course.
Kenai Benoit is his running back on 3rd and short. And Benoit will get the call, and he's stopped short by about a half a yard by Elijah Qualls. The nose man, stout in the middle, he would not be moved.
Qualls, a guy who is really starting to come into his own at that nose guard here. They're playing more of an even, so he's over the guard, just jumps right inside. That looked like Doug Brenner in there, a backup guard who had some struggles last week against Washington State, but Qualls very quick for 310 pounds.
Playing the nose like Danny Shelton did.
Yeah. It's really, again, going back to Steve Sarkisian, Washington fans should be very thankful for the time that Sarkisian had here. I know there's a lot of people kind of casting aspersions about his time here, and there was rumors that he was suffering from alcohol addiction then. But Sarkisian and his group took over a program that was 0-12 when they took over. And not just 0-12, they were a bad 0-12.
Yeah,
they couldn't block, they couldn't tackle. And so Chris Peterson comes in his 2nd year, and they have some guys. They have some guys who can play. And Danny Shelton, you mentioned, was one of them. And they have a ways to go. They've changed the culture, but you have to give Steve Sarkisian and his staff credit from where this came from.
Whoever this guy has, he can coach him up.
Yes, he can.
About a foot, they decide to punt it away. Wheeler will kick to Pettis. Chris Peterson was saying, be careful here.
Absolutely.
And they do punt. Another beautiful spiral. And Pettis with a fair catch to 22. A 48-yard kick. Beautiful school in a beautiful area of the country.
College football, brought to you by Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Take Back London. Available Friday, October 23rd. Rated M for mature.
The University of Washington has world-class rowing programs, 29 combined national titles between the men and women. The women have captured 10, the men 19, including the last 5 national championships. The legendary 1936 men's team not only won the national title, they won the gold medal in the Olympics in Berlin that summer. That's the subject of a New York Times best-selling book, The Boys in the Boat. I like these boats a little better. You know, you just turn the key and it starts.
I had a crew team member in my fraternity while I was here at the University of Washington. Here's what I know about people who do crew. They work out harder than any other sport I think I've ever seen.
Pretty close. Chico McClatcher, tackled by Jawan Williams. Well, when they start at 4:30 or 5, you know, they get a heads up on everybody else.
Well, the crew, and a lot of schools have crew, they go in the morning because the water's calm. And in the afternoon, they're on these machines for hours at a time. It's mind-blowing, the level of fitness that it takes to be elite at that sport.
Gaskin continues to get the majority of the carries at running back, including this one. Only gets about a yard. Nice job by Joe Walker, one of the inside linebackers that came up, got him around the ankle, and then got help.
Boy, you're right. Gaskin is getting a bunch of run here. Remember, Dwayne Washington, 226-pounders, then the starter, and that was just an excellent cut because that was completely sniffed out by Joe Walker. Walker is standing there in the hole, but Gaskin has that ability to freeze people, and then when he makes the cut, he's gaining yardage. He had a couple of runs late against USC that I had to go back and watch again to see how far in advance he was seeing stuff to cut. I was really impressed with this true freshman from what I saw last week.
Again, lowers his shoulder, great balance, got to the 45.
Joshua Perkins is going to get called for a hold, and boy, they had the edge, and there was just no reason for Perkins to take his man down.
Number 82 of the offense, 10-yard penalty. First down.
He had good position. They had the edge. The runner was already outside. And right there, the hands, you got to let go. You just got to let go. Working once again against Joe Walker. Walker, an active guy today. Moving around quite a bit.
I thought we would have a lot of scoring by this point. 6-0 in the second quarter did not enter my mind.
Well, both teams are running the power I, and they're working on clock management. Well, wait a minute. No, they're not.
That ball's tipped, almost intercepted, in and out of the hands of Jawan Williams.
Williams getting a little more run with Chris Cisse out for Oregon in the secondary. It's been a rotational secondary for Oregon through their struggles, and that is a very active DeForest Buckner, 6'7", 290. I talked about Nick Aliotti, the former defense coordinator at Oregon. Now it's Don Pellin, but he said our goal was to start getting defensive linemen that looked like they could play and could play in the SEC. Well, I'd say mission accomplished.
Levon Coleman on the delay. Not much. Picked up maybe 3-4 yards. It will be 3rd and long.
Really interesting how we haven't seen Dwayne Washington. I wonder if maybe he didn't get banged up. You never quite know when that happens, but we're going deep in the depth chart at running back.
Oregon is 124th in the country against the pass, 112th overall in defense, and 115 scoring. Right now they're pitching a shutout. Browning with time. Got his tight end Perkins, and Perkins will be about 3 yards shy of a first down. This may come back as well.
Oh, they're going to get Trey Adams, the left tackle. I mentioned a true freshman out there having to battle through, maybe starting a little earlier than you should at left tackle.
Of course, they can decline this and bring up 4th down. That's the decision most coaches
Holding,
make.
number 72 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, and third down will be repeated.
I don't know that this was as much holding as, wait a minute, I'm falling. Help me out here. He peeked to the inside, and he got lifted off his feet that time.
They did take the penalty,
By
Ed, which
Christian
strikes me
French.
as a little strange. Instead of 4th and 4, they backed them up. They're going to leave them third again. It is 3rd and 23, but you never know what might happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably worth making them punt. At least you know you're getting it back.
Draw play.
Well, you know what? Go back for a moment, though. If you're Mark Helfrich, and you know, first of all, Mark Helfrich was a graduate assistant for Chris Peterson when Chris Peterson
Yes,
was a
he
wide
was.
receiver coach at Oregon. So he knows how Peterson thinks. He knows that he has Jake Browning on the other side. True freshman quarterback, 3 freshman offensive linemen. There's no way his old mentor at Oregon was going to let that be a throw on his side of the field. So I think in hindsight, maybe it was the right choice to accept the penalty.
It's turned into a punting contest. It's Corey Durkee's turn. Braylon Addison is deep. He gives it that soccer-style look.
Boy, Washington is just grabbing jerseys. They're really sloppy with their hands right now. They're going to get a penalty, and this really nice punt and total flip of field position is going to come back because of holding by Joe Mathis, a defensive
Holding,
lineman in
number
there.
5 of the kicking team. 10-yard penalty, and fourth down will be repeated.
Wipes out a 60-yard punt. Holy cow.
Well, it's actually Jeff Lindquist.
The backup quarterback.
Yeah, he's out there actually as a tackle. I am shocked that they have a quarterback lining up as a blocking tackle on the punt team. I know he's the running quarterback, but I don't know that I've ever seen your second string quarterback out on punt coverage. It's a little mind-blowing for me, frankly, that he was even out there.
We might want to file that one away and look for later because that could be a fake.
Yeah, and when you have the rugby punt, you really Lindquist is back in there. He's serving as a personal protector.
I think you're right.
I think you're right. But you got him in there. He's going to have to punt, but he is going to have to cover people too.
Durkee again. And that was a good job by Addison to come up to try to catch it in the air before it took that big bounce.
And what a change of field position for Oregon after that penalty.
Beautiful shot of the Seattle skyline back after this.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Oregon is normally a team that is involved in the playoff discussion. It's going to be a little difficult to do it this year. Renovated Husky Stadium, and again, they did a heck of a job on this place. Got Griffin trapped. Somehow he got out of it and picked up 3 yards, possibly would have lost 5 in the same backfield with Freeman.
Kevin King, the corner, going a little low there, missed the tackle, and Taj Griffin, who's starting to become more and more a part of this Oregon offense. And this defense, again, we mentioned 4 players drafted in the top 44 of the NFL draft last year and still playing really well.
That ball tipped. A high pass from Adams. There is a flag down at the 43-yard line. Out on the perimeter. Might be a hold or illegal contact. Ineligible man downfield.
Well, this is a big debate amongst coaches and officials. Is the rule of the new play in college football is where the offensive line is completely...
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 5 of the offense, 5-yard penalty.
Well,
still second down.
This was a misalignment. This was not an offensive lineman downfield. Taj Griffin obviously was lined up as an ineligible receiver and ended up downfield. So scratch the discussion about the 3-yard down lineman rule. We'll talk about that some other time.
And we'll have multiple opportunities, I'm sure, because it happens all the time. Adams on a roll. That's a tough throw. Ball comes loose. Looked like a catch. Would have been enough for a first down, but it is incomplete.
But what a throw by Vernon Adams.
Wasn't
This is a drop by Addison. Would have been a tough catch. But, man, this guy is special. He really is fun to watch. On the run again, he puts it right on the money. You know, give credit here to King. King continued to play and got a hand in there and maybe had a piece of knocking that ball away.
3rd and long and a sellout crowd really into it now. 4-man rush, pressure coming. Adams gets away again, directing traffic, throws late over the middle. Was it held by Carrington? He went down hard, looked like the ball moved, but he held on for 29. And what a job by Adams.
It's unbelievable how much different this offense is with Adams. And it doesn't look like that was catch. I would call timeout if I were Chris Peterson here. I'm not sure that ball was held on to.
And the replay booth has been very slow twice to do anything. That looked like that ball moved at least. Let's take another look.
Terrific job by Vernon Adams. Well, he looked like he may have hurt his left hand when he came down. I didn't see the ball move there. It looked like a catch to me, but maybe they could have taken another look. I think it was the right call. A little surprised they didn't take a look, but I hope for Oregon's sake, Carrington's okay. His left arm looked like it landed funny.
Adams hands it off to Freeman. That's when I thought the ball moved after he flipped, but if they had ruled he caught it, it wouldn't matter if the ball had moved because he was hit after the catch.
He had taken a move to put the ball away and secure it before he was hit. So I think it was a catch. Let's watch the very end of the play. That's a catch. That's a catch. That left arm again, though, looked funny, and now a big 3rd and 4. No pressure needed for Washington here.
Great job, guys. Way to get that shot. Take Griffin, and Taj Griffin will have enough for a first down. It will be 1st and goal for the Ducks. So Griffin and Freeman have both done damage. And one of the Huskies defenders is down.
Looks like Brandon Beaver, a backup safety.
You can see why they are so thrilled to have Adams healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, what a difference when he's... Just imagine he's not in the lineup and you got somebody else in there. That's why they struggle.
And watching the end of the game last week against Washington State, they just didn't have an identity offensively. This is Marcus Mariota just a little bit shorter. You know, I don't know that he's as purely fast as Marcus, but he's got a very live arm, incredibly accurate on the throw. And he was a guy, he was playing in the lower level, the football championship subdivision at Eastern Washington, wanted a chance. Scott Frost, the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, did some study, realized he was the real deal. And here he is showing against a very good and emerging Washington defense, playing really well.
1st and goal. They'll give it to Griffin again. Still on his feet. Griffin powers his way into the end zone. And out in front of him, Evan Bowler, the new left guard, who just kept driving.
And it is not illegal for an offensive lineman to push from behind. They cannot pick up and move somebody. Boy, that was a good block there by Jake Pisarcik, too. But as long as they're not carrying and pushing, they're just pushing from behind. That's legal. What a nice touchdown for Oregon after seemingly getting stuck in mud after a great first drive.
Schneider is on for the point after. They will go conventional on this one. And Oregon has opened up some breathing room. They're on top 13-0 at Washington. Downtown Seattle, beautiful waterfront. Of course, we're doing a night game, but when you're here and the sun comes out once a month,
although I will say the
really
locals,
beautiful.
I went to school here and played 1 year for the Seahawks. The locals are thinking that winter has arrived tonight. Did you see those clouds coming in? That to the locals feels like the cotton candy skies that they'll see, the gray cotton candy skies they'll see here until probably May.
McClatcher, the deep man, that ball goes through his hands. He's going to have to down it in the end zone and does. Arizona State, Utah, currently on ESPN. After that wraps up SportsCenter at night, directly follows a full breakdown of the day in college football, plus highlights and post-game coverage from both of the Major League Baseball championship series. SportsCenter at night after ASU and Utah over on ESPN, streaming live on Watch ESPN. Somebody told me it's the Mets and the Cubs for the National League pennant. Proof positive that there is a parallel universe. Proof.
And Utah is in the thick of the college football playoff discussion.
That's the second
when would you have
parallel
thought of
universe. Washington needs to get something going on offense. They have been handcuffed by a fired-up Oregon bunch.
And
Rodney Mardrick makes the tackle on that, a short gain.
As many yards as Oregon has given up defensively, and they've given up a lot. A lot of it is because of secondary misalignments. They have such a young secondary, not the right mesh between their linebackers and secondary. But up front, this is the defensive front, minus Eric Armstead, who's obviously a very good player, that played for a national championship last year. So this is still a very good group with guys that are going to play for paychecks someday. So they're still here.
They rush three. Browning, nice throw to his tight end, Perkins. And we'll check in with Chris Cotter. All right, Chris, Jadon Mickens went down to the turf to try to get that throw from Browning, but it was too low for him.
And he knows.
And Browning said, it's on me.
Such a young guy. Remember, this is a guy who is just a true freshman. He did come and go through spring football, which is a big help. But Siler Miles retired at the end of last year because of a hip injury, so he's had to take over. And he's got some mechanical things. He's got a little bit of a long stride. He's a little slow with his feet sometimes, and he's finding his accuracy.
Gaskin trying to get to the outside. And a great job out there by Tyree Robinson, the safety. They said one of the problems with Robinson, he was trying to help everybody else do their jobs and wasn't doing his. And they said, just do what you're supposed to do. The other guys have to take care of themselves.
Well, and getting Nelson, as crazy as it sounds, getting Charles Nelson from receiver to come over and play safety, they say, has helped Robinson because Nelson really has a good feel for this secondary play.
Four-man rush. And Browning, no slide, dives head first for the first down at the 41-yard line, a gain of 11.
He slid for a while. What are you kidding me? After he went down.
Not feet first, He didn't.
Not as quick, obviously, or as fast, but can run, has good speed once he decides to get going. But it looks like this is a injury
to Finga. That's their starting center.
And Shane Brostek, whose dad, Byrne, was an All-American and first-round draft pick from here.
Yeah, he was a terrific player, wasn't he?
And Shane, who's been battling some injuries his whole career. We'll get in there. Shane's father, Byrne, was a teammate of mine.
We've had a couple of good centers, if you go back in history here, Mr. Cunningham.
They have the run of offensive linemen from this place was amazing. There was one offensive lineman drafted every year except 1996 from 87 until 2001.
And your years as a center here were?
90-91. But the offensive line since then, and it is the fortune of the program, it has gone dry.
Browning seems to like that throw over the middle. Jadon Mickens makes the catch. You'll see quarterbacks, especially young ones, that have places on the field they would rather throw. He seems very comfortable over the middle.
And Mickens, a senior, big game last week. He had the catch on 3rd and 6 when they needed a conversion against USC, and Mickens from Los Angeles in the Coliseum made the catch. Washington able to burn the clock out, and that was a good throw. Little low, but this is an offense trying to find its way a bit.
Browning with time. Deep out to the end zone and dropped. Right in the hands of Deontay Cooper. What a throw by Browning.
I mentioned at the top of the show that Browning missed some deep throws against USC. He didn't miss this one at all.
That's got to be caught.
That's a running back, and it's a trailer, Tyson Coleman, who gets his hands in there. So it is a tough catch, but that was a terrific throw by the young quarterback.
I think Cooper would be the first guy to tell you. Should have had that one. And Browning will be the second one. Second down, Browning under pressure. They'll blow this one dead, and probably very fortunate for Browning. Trey Adams, the left tackle, moved again.
And there, the right side of the offensive line for Washington just got beat right at the snap. If that wasn't blown dead.
Number 72 of the offense, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
And second and 15 is a lot better than second and 20 with your quarterback getting stuffed.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what it looked like was going to happen. Boy, that looked awfully close. I'm not sure he moved there, but this is that key matchup. True freshman Adams against April's first-round draft pick, DeForest Buckner.
This is a very inexperienced offensive line for the Huskies. Trying to get better every week. Four-man rush. Browning again directing traffic. Throws over the middle. That's going to be about 3 yards shy of a first down to Joshua Perkins. But it will give him a legitimate shot at it, and Browning kept the play alive again.
And now for Washington, even though we're getting close to the end of the half, no rush. Boy, it'd be great if you could get a score and not have Oregon get the ball back, right? I don't know that that's going to happen. But let's see if Oregon maybe starts thinking about some of these timeouts to get the ball back.
Well, no need to rush. There's plenty of time on the clock.
Only 5 defenders around the line of scrimmage for Oregon.
Getting a first down here would help. Browning trying to scramble, and they got him back at the 22.
Boy, that was a really excellent finish by Tui Talia.
Balducci was the first guy there, forced him out.
And it was excellent coverage, just a 3-man rush for Oregon. I thought maybe Washington could check into a run there because it looked like they had a chance, and that's Balducci. You've got to give Shane Brostek a little bit of help there in the middle. Balducci, a 310-pound senior. Brostek coming in cold. You've got to be able to slide the line and help out a center coming in cold in that position, trying to go against a guy in Balducci who's going to certainly at least be in an NFL camp next year.
Mark Helfrich trying to save some time for his offense. 1:10 to go in the first half. Back after this. 40 yards to get Washington on the board. Van Winkle has now hit 6 of 8 on the year.
Nice hold by Jeff Lindquist, the backup quarterback. Lindquist that we've seen as the up back on the punt team, which is the rarest thing. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. I think it's a little dangerous, honestly, but Lindquist, I'm not sure that was a great snap by Ryan Mazzell. Looked like Lindquist pulled that out of the dirt. Celebrating its 11th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Well, you can't hit the net. You can't get the millions from Allstate if you can't hit the net. And you can't hit the net if you don't get the ball down. Boy, that was outside and wobbly. That was a fastball that was tailing away. That was an excellent hold by Lindquist. It's one of those things that it seems like it should just be easy because they make it look that way. But that ball came out funky and had a bad spin on it. Mazzell, he's talking to everyone going, I think I got away with one there, guys. That's why I've always felt that quarterbacks make the best holders because they have the ball in their hands all the time. The problem with that, they're practicing other stuff, and sometimes they don't have time for the kickers. That's why the punter is usually the holder. Ball goes into the end zone. Nelson will bring it out. Breaks the tackle, taken out of bounds to 20. There's a late hit and a flag. Boy, that was a bad throw down. He got hit 8 yards out of bounds. Well, it was, I believe, Tevis Bartlett of Washington.
After the play, of the kicking team, 15-yard penalty, first down Oregon.
7 penalties, 60 yards, and it was Darrell Daniels, 15, although he had the initial contact.
Yeah, they
and
called
Bartlett came in to hit him
Bartlett,
late.
but it's actually, I think it was Daniels who was doing the damage there and throwing him down.
I think Daniels may have gotten away with it.
I think you're right. I mean, I think they called him a wrong guy. I think it was Daniels who was throwing down. The other guy was trying to pull off. But another big penalty on special teams for Washington.
Adams trying to see if he can do anything through the air. Has a completion out to Braylon Addison.
What a nice deal to have Addison back if you're Oregon. He's part of the crew that had knee injuries last year. Addison, of course, Devin Allen, one of the fastest players in the world, frankly. Fastest people in the world, hurt his knee last year, so getting some guys back.
Pressure coming. And the sack back at the 38-yard line. What an effort by Ben Burke-Kirven. He just would not be stopped.
Ben Burke-Kirven playing a bunch because of the suspended Azim Victor.
They try to cross him up with Royce Freeman. Doesn't get much. Bieria made the stop. And they'll use another timeout to stop the clock with 27 seconds on the clock. We'll be back to Seattle in a moment. Half.
A lot of clock burnt. You use that timeout trying to save it for your offense, and that sack really hurt Oregon. Didn't get that timeout very quickly.
Adams under pressure again. Escapes again. And unloads for Addison. Braylon Addison couldn't stay in bounds. It would have been a touchdown. A gain of 45 yards, and Adams is playing Houdini tonight.
And if I'm Washington, I would think about a timeout here. This is King. Kevin King slips down. He got his foot caught as he put his arm out there. What an unbelievable job by Vernon Adams. But I think at this point, if I'm Washington, I got to regroup. All of a sudden, we get a sack. It feels like Oregon's going to run the clock out. Now they have 1st and 10 from the 11.
They're in chip shot field goal range if they need that. Adams will throw to the corner, well overthrown. Jones on the coverage against Carrington.
And now for Oregon at 13 seconds, 2nd and 3rd down. You have your timeout, so you can run on one of them. But what the concern is with a run, it can take 7, 8, 9 seconds. I think you're throwing the ball on every down here till the end until you decide if you want to kick a field goal or not. But I'd be shocked if Oregon, even with a timeout, runs the ball. Just not going to have enough time. And they're not getting the play. You don't want to have to use that last timeout here. Adams getting the play very late. They're going to have to use the timeout. Boy,
and they do, and that's a big mistake.
That
there.
is. And Adams
to have
is mad.
to burn that timeout. Now you can't throw the ball underneath either. You've got to throw for the end zone.
Yeah, and you have 2 downs to do it. You could throw it. You can get a 1st down inside the 1, but even then you're throwing towards the end zone. But Adams really upset with the communication coming from the sidelines. It looked like Helfrich was a little indecisive in what he wanted to call. Of course, he was the former offensive coordinator under Chip Kelly, then went up and became the head coach, and then Scott Frost became the offensive coordinator. But they could not get that play in, and now it's not the biggest deal in the world to lose that timeout because you probably were going to throw it on both downs. You run it there. It's so risky.
Probably.
Yeah.
But just probably.
But if you get a sack, that's the problem. So I think if you're going to throw it, it's got to be catch it, get rid of it, some type of slant or some type of fade. Because remember, Washington up front has gotten pressure on almost every pass. It's been Vernon Adams saving it.
Adams under pressure. Throws to the back of the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Devin Allen.
I think you have to, 6 seconds. It's really close of whether you could get another playoff. It's right. If you were at 7 or 8, you may try a catch and throw for a fade. But this is a big deal that you don't get one more try at a touchdown and you have to kick the field goal. This is a big deal for Oregon not to have managed the clock a little better, especially after that sack.
Well, remember that last play took 7 seconds. And this is Alan Schneider. He's made them all this year. He's only missed one in his career, 20 of 21. And this is a 28-yard shot that is true. And it's 16-3 Oregon with 2 seconds on the first half clock. Tomorrow morning, a great way to get you ready for the day on ESPN, NFL Insider's Sunday edition, Week 6 injury news, fantasy update. Certainly been a lot of news about that this week. And early breaking stories at 10 Eastern. Then at 11, Sunday NFL Countdown with Boomer and the boys. It all starts at 10 on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
You know, that drive by Oregon reminded me of the Seahawks drive at the end of the Super Bowl. And I bring it up because I know Seattle fans love to talk about the end of the Super Bowl last year. It's really their favorite topic. I'm joking, of course.
But sarcasm has become a specialty, hasn't it?
It was mismanagement of the clock, I would say, early in that drive by the Seahawks that put them in the predicament where they felt like they had to call the throw, and I think that's where Oregon was. They didn't manage the clock great when they got the ball back after the field goal by Washington, and not getting one or maybe two more plays to try to get it in the end zone. Pretty big deal.
McClatcher on the return. He's got to take it 100 yards or it doesn't matter. Gets out to the 31. And that is the end of the first half with the score Oregon 16, Washington 3. Now we send you to Chris Cotter for the BMW halftime report. Seattle, where Oregon is leading the Huskies 16-3, and after that first half, now we know why Oregon was so interested in getting Vernon Adams from Eastern Washington and why they were so excited that he might be healthy enough to play tonight.
They still were a really good offense coming into today, but this is a different type of offense with Vernon Adams. And really, the Washington defense has been terrific up front. They have gotten pressure and really obliterated the pocket. But Adams is so gifted athletically and throws so well on the run. Watch how long he stays alive on this throw, directing traffic, eyes downfield, never looks at the rush. And every time, even when Elijah Qualls gets in just absolutely free, great freeze, bounces to the outside, and Adams has been incredibly accurate. He's not just scrambling, he's completing a pass almost every time he breaks out of the pocket.
Washington will get the ball to start the third quarter. They have outscored their opponent 66-7 after halftime this year in the third quarter. Low line drive kick. They will not have a chance to run this back. And let's check in with Dr. Bunch. Jerry?
And talk with Chris Peterson, the head coach from Washington, coming out at halftime. He said, offensively, we just got to quit shooting ourselves in the foot. We're very young. We're freshmen playing up front and at quarterback. We're just making mental mistakes and costing us plenty of yards. Defensively, he said, we got to keep coming after Vernon Adams. He said, we're getting back there. We're getting penetration. We just need to get a hand on Vernon Adams and wrap him up. We're going to keep coming after him in the second half.
Easier said than done, though, isn't it, Jerry?
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. If you blitz the guy, you're taking a guy out of coverage, and he may make the guy look foolish.
Wide open to midfield and beyond goes Gaskin, and they smartly let loose of him before they throw him out of bounds. Pettis, that's a 31-yard gain on the throw.
Yep, and this is that middle of the field, Mike, that you talked about that Browning likes to throw to. This a long developing route. Pettis, it was all the way over to the left side. That time moved the pocket a little bit for Browning. Good accurate throw that time on the run.
One of the reasons for that, Ed, is it's a shorter throw, and a lot of guys like that. Browning on a little bootleg gets it to his tight end. Will pick up about 5. Perkins forced out of bounds. His 4th catch of the night.
I like this play calling by Jonathan Smith, the offensive coordinator, early. Browning, he can throw. He was a sensational thrower in high school, so he's going to get the throw game. He's going to get better at it. But now moving the pocket a little bit. Remember, Washington, there's Jonathan Smith right there. Washington had a couple of guys bang up. Tufunga is back in at center, so that's good news for Washington.
Fake to Gaskin. Again, they throw underneath right in the stomach of J. Don Mickens, and he dropped it.
Yeah, this is the slant that that Browning hooked up with Mickens last week against USC on a 3rd and 6 that converted. So that
and he's the senior, so they can't say, we're young and we're making mistakes.
Legal formation. 5 players in the backfield against the offense. The penalties decline. 3rd down.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have accepted the penalty had he caught it, so it really didn't matter. And now you've got last time that Washington got into this situation and they got the 4th and short, they decided to punt it away. At this point, the way that Vernon Adams has started to settle in offensively, you've got to think, if you're Washington on this side of the field, you have to be thinking about 4 downs. We know that Peterson has tons of trick plays in the kick game, but I don't know that you need it all here on 3rd and 7 necessarily if you're Washington.
Maybe time to get a little more aggressive, you're right. 4-man rush. Still looking to throw, has a man open, and it's caught. Linnaeus. That ball just got there, and I mean just.
Braden Linnaeus did a wonderful job as he was in the air, pulling that ball away from an Oregon defender. Excellent job by Browning stepping up. He had to change the ball in his hands, but look at the eyes downfield. We've seen Vernon Adams do it that way, but he pulled that, it looked like almost right off the head of Ihanacho, the corner. Excellent job by Linnaeus.
Gaskin, they faked that play to him 3 straight times, and now they run him. Taken down at the 12 by Joe Walker, his team's leading tackler, number 35.
A good start for Washington offensively, getting the ball. They move the pocket some to start getting Jake Browning a little more comfortable. Does an excellent job in scrambling, finding Linnaeus, and all of a sudden, Washington knocking on the door.
Blitz coming. And they got him. Browning was stuffed. Balducci, the nose man, got penetration with DeForest Buckner. Buckner is the leading sacker on this team. That's 3 sacks for the team.
Buckner goes inside and buckles Cameron Shelton, the right guard. Just a little bit high for Shelton, and that's just a run through. This is a big, powerful man, but Balducci may have beat him there. Balducci's really been playing well, showing good range and good speed. They said he's really turned his motor up a little bit here in his senior year. These guys, that was a meet at the quarterback situation.
With some nice defensive calls by Oregon tonight. They have been aggressive at the right time. They come with 4 now. More pressure and another sack from behind. It's Buckner.
And now you're outside of comfortable field goal range for Washington. Right at about the 30-yard line is the most comfort, and this is DeForest Buckner. You got to think about starting to slide the line here. You've got to get help for Coleman Shelton, and this looking to tie a career long for Van Winkle.
Van Winkle from 46. And he got it. Van Winkle 2 for 2. So at least the drive pays off for Washington with a field goal, and they've cut the lead to 16-6. Welcome back to Seattle, where the lead has been cut to 10 points, Oregon and Washington. Vernon Adams has been a thorn in the side of the Huskies for 2 different teams now. Eastern Washington last year, 475 yards and a remarkable 7 touchdowns. Tonight, not nearly as gaudy, but very effective, 8 out of 13, a little over 200 yards and a score. Maybe the most important thing he has done is time and time again, he has avoided being caught in the backfield. Ball is bobbled by Addison. fights to get past the 20 to about the 22-yard line.
Well, and for Washington, Azim Victor, their starting linebacker, who was suspended for targeting in the second half against USC last week, comes in to play his first snap. This guy is a 245-pound, 6'3" middle linebacker. He plays a big part in slowing the run and on their blitz. So for Peterson's defense, good to have Victor back in. And apologies on the play before on the field goal. I thought that DeForest Buckner had a 6-yard farther back sack that pushed Washington out of field goal range, but they had downed it 5 yards earlier. So I missed the spot on that one. Apologies.
Freeman is the setback, and he'll get it. Done a good job against him tonight. Came in as in terms of gross yards, the third leading rusher in the entire country with 859 yards.
Watch Victor on the scrape. He is a really tall, good-looking, good patience there. He really does make a difference in the middle. That's the way this defense is designed. It's like a funnel. The two big defensive tackles and the big middle linebacker. Big help to have him back.
Adams under pressure again. Like a broken record, he escapes again. Has the first down, and Moore slides out of bounds. Boy, is he quick.
He is one of those guys who it seems like everybody else is going at one speed, and he sees things just a little differently. He stays amazingly calm. He's a very good athlete, obviously. But, Washington's had him dead to rights how many times in the backfield and haven't been able to get him.
Here's the big guy breaking away. Freeman inside the 45 to about the 42. He came into this game with 32 runs better than 10 yards. That's number 1 in the country. He just added to it.
Well, that was a mistake that time. You could see the misstep by Azim Victor. He comes in. We saw how he scraped over the top that time. He made the wrong step to his left, and Freeman made him pay for it.
Freeman again, this time absolutely nothing there because Travis Feeney closed down from the outside linebacking spot.
Feeney, a guy that was a safety when he first got here. Big, long, can get off the edge, and they've been able to build. Because he can set the edge at 6'4", 240, they've been able to keep only 2 down linemen, guys with hands on the ground, on the field. Of course, Littleton as well. Gives them a lot of diversity, and these tall guys can get out and cover some space in the pass game as well.
Those two add up to 600 pounds, however. Pressure coming here, a flanker screen. And that's going to be enough for another first down as Addison makes the catch. Had blockers in front, and the gain is 14.
Addison is so good in space. I remember a couple years ago we had this team, and just watching him find a place to run. Boy, Oregon's lucky that they didn't get called for tackling Travis Feeney there. That looked like a hold out there.
There have been, I think in this game you could have called holding on virtually any play.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of grabbing on both sides.
Now, do you mean in this game in general, or in this game we're watching specifically? Because it's true of both.
Yes,
actually.
but more so in this one.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of hands outside the frame.
And as long as you can get away with it, you'll keep doing it.
Yeah, it's not a penalty if they don't call it, right?
Exactly. That's what linemen always say.
Good ones, anyway.
Fake to Benoit. There's the post, and they've got another first down to the 15-yard line.
What a throw.
Kirk Merritt with the bullet from Vernon Adams.
That is, and Merritt, a guy that they're trying to get a little more of a roll to. They really like him, but that was just a bullet, on time, accurate. This guy's feeling it.
Now they're trying to go at light speed. Adams telling Freeman the new play. Sets in the pocket and throws through that one behind.
That's
the
really
intended receiver. He was trying to hit Merritt again and threw it at his back shoulder.
First really kind of inaccurate throw we've seen in a while from Adams.
And that's one of those deals. He threw it to the back shoulder because if he throws it to the front shoulder, there's a defender right there.
Yeah, and Merritt, a freshman, I think that might have been a recognition thing. I think he may have been able to throttle down.
Freeman, nice hesitation. Inside the 10 to the 5.
Holy cow, what a cut by Freeman.
Finally cut down by Buda Baker.
I mean, this is a lost yardage play. The running back comes right through, and he made Keyshawn Bierria make just a bad choice. Bierria looks like he's going to nail him in the backfield, and you've also got Greg Gaines in there, and he outruns them all.
15 carries, 77 yards, trying to add to it. Looked like he got to the 4-yard line, but the spot is not going to be very good. Greg Gaines made the tackle, just wrapped those big arms around him.
The way Washington has played offensively for Oregon, I think this is a go-for-it time for sure. You'd start to feel really comfortable with 7 instead of 3 here. And I think this is just a run play. I don't think you have to get real fancy. Maybe try to get it out on the edge.
Griffin in the same backfield replaced Freeman, and now quarterback keeper trapped, coming back the other way. And where are they going to mark it?
And that's Taylor Alley who came in, the running quarterback. Excuse me, that was Braylon Addison who took the Wildcat. So they were going with a straight run play with Addison, and Addison did a wonderful job. There was nothing there. Well defended by Washington. Oregon had a power set to the right. They overshifted. Addison cut back, and it is going to be awfully close.
The sticks on the far side were just outside the 3-yard line. This is marked right at the 3.
Wow, what an excellent job by Addison. He is just a gifted guy. Feet are inbounds. You know, they could have, that's about a yard past the first down.
They could have easily marked that inside
and
the
they
3.
can review this. Remember, the spot can be reviewed. If this is not a first down, my goodness. Well, you've got to look at it straight on it.
We're going to have to look, if it's not a first down, we're going to have to look at some other angles. They're stretching that thing just as far as they can.
You know, that's actually, when looking at the replay, that's a terrific spot by those officials. Addison was the ball was right at about the 3-yard line. Once again, just a terrific Addison looking like he may actually have been trying to throw it there. But right here, that effort to stay in bounds, I mean, it could have been the 3.5, 2.5. It may have been even better than what they got. But what a terrific, that's all Braylon Addison.
Yes, it certainly was. And his speed is the thing that made that play. He was headed in the other direction, reversed a pivot, and just outran the defenders to get inside the 3-yard line. Freeman, the deep man, will get the carry. Makes one man miss, makes another man miss. Well, he could have lost 4 yards, and because of those quick feet on a 230-pound frame, he got back to the line of scrimmage.
And Brian Clay, safety for the Huskies, comes in free, and Freeman just juked him right in the backfield.
2nd and goal. Adams on the keeper. Wants to throws to the end zone, touchdown. Got it to Stanford. And that's all on Vernon Adams. There is a flag down in the end zone.
Late, I think this is going to be celebration on Stanford, but once again, Vernon Adams gets out of trouble and throws a dime. He puts this right on the money. Give Stanford credit. He did an excellent job of working back away from the sideline, but Stanford went for a little jump shot with the ball afterwards, and I think he might get an excessive celebration here. But boy, is Vernon Adams good when he's out of the pocket.
Receiver downfield, number 57 of the
wow.
offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down will be repeated.
That's on Doug Brenner. So that wipes out the touchdown. But you're right. Vernon Adams kept the play alive long enough so that he found a wide open receiver and drilled it to him.
And Brenner, a guy who's getting some run with Matt Pearson, the normal starting left guard, out with an injury, suffered against Washington State. Undisclosed what that injury was, but it was Brenner who's downfield during the scramble, a huge penalty.
Now we'll do 2nd and goal all over again, but this time from the 9. Pressure coming on Adams, scrambles away from it. They just can't contain him. He does it again. Throws to the end zone, touchdown Carrington. 4 catches. And you simply can't contain this kid.
It feels like Christmas for Duck fans right now. And I know this is not the type of season that they wanted to have, but to have a quarterback back that can make plays like that, and also to have Darren Carrington back at wide receiver after his half-a-year suspension before the national championship game last year for failure of a drug test. To have that guy back and that guy at quarterback, Ducks got to feel pretty good about the rest of the way out.
We've read so much this week preparing for this game. Why couldn't they have another quarterback that was the quality of the starter? Well, that doesn't happen anywhere.
No.
You lose this kid to injury, and it's been a big point of contention for this club. But he's back, and he's good.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Pep Boys. Trust the boys to get you there.
Well, these are not flying fish, truly, but they're airborne at the Elliott Bay Waterfront Pike Place Market, a Seattle landmark that is visited by 10 million people every year. And you find out how well you throw and catch fish.
What do you think those guys' completion percentage is over a day? I hope it'd be in the 90s. This guy is completion percentage. When he's on the run today, it feels like 100%. It feels like when he leaves the pocket, he just never misses anyone.
Seems like it, doesn't it?
A little unfair for Washington's DBs to have to hold up for 6-7 seconds.
McClatcher on the return. It's out to the 20 and down to Jerry Punch.
Guys, we have not seen Husky starting tailback Dwayne Washington tonight, and he was not listed as being injured coming into the ballgame. He came out to warm up prior to the game, and just prior to kickoff, they put a knee brace on him. I have since spoken with head athletic trainer Rob Scheediger for the Washington Huskies. He tells me that Dwayne Washington, will not play tonight. Big loss for the Huskies.
Thank you, Jerry. He was losing more and more carries to Myles Gaskin.
But a guy at 226 pounds with that speed, good hands out of the backfield, you don't want to lose him.
And that pass underthrown, intended for Perkins, who was open.
Yeah, this is a throw. Browning, as he starts to feel himself into this role. That corner route where you've got somebody over the top or someone underneath and you've got someone heading in an angle away from you it's a money throw. It is open so often. It's a tough throw. It is a really hard throw for a young quarterback to make, but that's a throw, that corner, especially to a tight end with the speed of Perkins, that really puts pressure on the safety and the corner of that side. So big miss that time by Browning.
15 out of 22, but only 160 yards. He does not seem to be as comfortable throwing when he takes the ball under center. Much better in the shotgun, at least it appears from first blush. Gaskin with the carry.
You know, for Washington, this was an offense that had to find its way last year, still finding it this year, but they lost a guy in the spring already, John Ross. Wide receiver.
Terrific receiver.
Yeah, who was a cornerback. They moved him last year. He became a touchdown maker at the end of the year. So we were talking to Chris Peters, said that was a huge loss in the spring. And so let's hope Dwayne Washington, tailback's okay, because this is a young offense.
A power formation. They need a yard to get the first down. Levon Coleman comes in to try to get it.
I don't know that he got it.
Interesting spot.
Yeah,
here.
and you know, if Dwayne Washington is healthy at 226,
he's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy, not Levon Coleman, and I'm not sure Coleman got there. Coleman's a bigger guy at 222, but obviously Washington was your starter. And I like the go for it. Well,
I did too, but they're not going to.
You know, we were doing Indiana-Ohio State a couple of weeks ago, and this was the exact spot where Indiana went for it and put a little pressure back at Ohio State. This is fourth and a couple of inches, and the way that the other team's quarterback's been playing and the field position you're going to give them potentially here, I'm not sure that this is one you want to punt away. Remember, Chris Peterson is known for trick plays both on offense and special teams.
And Washington has to use a timeout for a punt. Now, there could be all sorts of reasons for this, like they were planning a fake off of it and didn't have the right formation or didn't have the right personnel. But, boy, if you're going to punt the ball, that's a horrible use of a timeout. If you're out running around on a college football Saturday, you don't have to miss any of the action. Stream any game live. Download the Watch ESPN app or go to watchespn.com.
Well, there was a lot going on around college football. We saw Alabama look pretty sharp against Texas A&M, which was a nice test. Michigan State, sneaky gets another win, although they clearly do not look like to me, national championship team after what I saw today.
Run a man in motion. Give it to Durkee. Durkee with a beautiful kick. Kicks it away from coverage. But taken on the run and a return of about 10 yards. 16, in fact, after a punt of 52. And Adams will have the ball when we come back. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these at games all season long. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to learn how to win the chance to join your school's student section at the college football playoff.
I think that's a W. It's almost like a rock and roll hair metal band sign, but I believe that's the W. I don't think we did that when I went to school here or not. That guy's a banana.
I'm sure you mean that in the kindest way. Griffin. Flags are down all over the place, and Taj Griffin sprints to the 30. I think this one's coming back.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Oregon got a little lucky that they didn't get a call on Travis Feeney holding him this time. The long outside.
Number 78 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. First down will be repeated.
It's Cameron Hunt, the starting right guard. Now, if you're Oregon, do you keep running the same offense, or do you get a little more conservative at this point?
The way Washington's been playing, I would think this is Royce Freeman time. I think you want to start melting this clock. There's just not a lot of reason to keep throwing it. Although Adams has been so accurate, I don't think you totally throw it out. But they've run the ball 32 times already versus 17 pass. I would consider that number to start going even more towards the run as this game winds down.
Freeman. Big guy's off and running again. Freeman to midfield, finally forced out of bounds. Very close to a first down.
And here's the other point, Mike. Second half of the game, defense is always more tired than the offense.
Absolutely.
They've had to chase the ball. The bigger bodies have to get off blocks and go run. So that time you saw that was Tupou who just got turned inside.
Freeman with another carries over the 100-yard mark. Vita Vea made the tackle, but not before he got the first down.
Yeah, this is starting to become, those 2- and 3-yard runs are starting to become 4- and 5 yards. And this 230-pounder with good balance and good vision, he's going to start creeping up to 150, 175, maybe 200 before this is over if it keeps going this way.
Well, he's on the verge of going over the 1,000-yard mark for the second time, and there could have been another hold right in the middle of that line. A couple of linemen really got just grabbed as they were on their way to the quarterback.
Yeah, Oregon was trying to set up the screen, so they did call a pass, but a very safe one. That was going to Freeman, the running back, but Washington's defensive line did a good job of stopping and waiting. There was nothing there. Good conservative call. Changed things up a little bit.
Washington down by 3 scores at this point, can ill afford to give up another one. Griffin in the lineup. He'll get the carry. Makes a quick cut to make the first man miss. The first man still looking for him.
This is a guy that, Oregon seems to have guys with this ability. Michael James, just guys who can put their foot in the ground and make people look kind of dumb. And this is a guy who, in the stead of a 230-pounder, getting a little break, a little 175-pound scat back comes in and makes people miss now.
If you're 175, you better be able to make people miss. Adams off his back foot. Perfect post. And a great play by Carrington. What a find to get him back. This is like bringing in a new recruit.
Braylon Addison slow to get up for Oregon. That's not a guy. And there's a flag down, actually right where Addison was. I think they're going to get him for a hold.
Interference. Number 2 of the offense. 15-yard penalty. Third down will be repeated.
A pick, perhaps?
Well, every offense has been known to run a pick, but Oregon, I think, does it as well as anyone.
People are getting so good at it now.
Braylon Addison there was in motion.
You can't make contact.
I don't know if Addison would have fallen. I think if he'd have kept running, they may not have called it. But with the fall down and it not looking like a route, that looked like a pretty easy call. And what a huge penalty.
Yes, sir. Knocks him all the way back to the 43-yard line. That's third and a mile. Trying to get outside is Griffin. Another flag is down.
That's Greg Gaines, a freshman who's getting a lot of run now for Washington. And he has been, I've been watching 99 for Washington. He's been doing a nice job when he gets his reps.
Number 57 of the offense. The penalty is declined. Brings up fourth down.
That time he got an inside. He dipped inside, and it took a hold by Doug Brenner. Mentioned earlier that Matt Pearson is out, and that middle of the offensive line for Oregon's had its struggles.
They declined the penalty, forcing the punt. They could have made it third and about 80 if they had taken it.
4th and 25 is plenty, though.
Yes, it is. Wheeler will punt. Pettis is deep. Pressure coming. They don't get there. On another high spiral. Wheeler's done a great job punting the ball tonight. 44 yards on that one. No return on the fair catch. Tomorrow morning, get ready for the day's NFL action with NFL Insider Sunday edition, Week 6 injury news, fantasy updates, early breaking stories. That comes on at 10 o'clock Eastern. Then at 11, Boomer and the boys come along with Sunday NFL Countdown. Starts at 10 on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Now for the Huskies of Washington, I think it's time to start looking at the clock a little bit. You've got a young offensive line. You've got a freshman quarterback, but you really don't want much of this clock to go away. Down 23-6. Clock starting to melt away, getting towards the 4th.
Browning, that route has been open for him all night long, and another good throw, this time to Dante Pettis.
Well, that was a nice throw. On time, accurate. But this is your enemy right now. If you're Washington, you just don't want too many ticks off that clock. Not that you have to be in a hurry up, but you certainly do not want 25, 30 seconds, which is about what's going to come off right now between plays.
They fake the jet sweep one way and go back to Gaskin the other. Gaskin in a foot race. And Gaskin is going to go all the way. Was that fast enough for you? First time we have seen that look tonight as they fake the action one way, come back the other, 71 yards.
Now, Gaskin's a guy who has that ability we've been talking about for Oregon where you can make people miss, and that time Khalil Oliver is the defender for Oregon who got over his skis a little bit. Number 9 made a little juke, and nobody home because Oliver was the safety. Down around the line of scrimmage, can't make the tackle, and Gaskins, who's filled in, played great at the end of the 4th. The game against USC, filling in for an injured Dwayne Washington, and all of a sudden, Huskies are trying to make this a ball game.
Oregon returned from the kickoff, and here goes Addison. Braylon Addison finally forced out of bounds. Holy cow, what a big play from the junior. 90 yards.
And Tristan Vizcaino, the kicker, made a terrific recovery after getting blocked to go down and force out Addison for the touchdown. This is terrifically blocked by Oregon. Wow, do they have it sealed. But watch Vizcaino right there, stays alive and has excellent speed, can really run for a kicker.
How about that?
Boy, I mean, that's as good as effort as you're going to see from a kicker. Vizcaino saves a touchdown. Let's see how it turns out.
A kicker outrunning a wide receiver and a kick returner.
And that looked like about a fair foot race. Vizcaino can really run.
So it's up to the Washington defense to try to hang tough again. Adams on the run, and a perfect pass to Merritt. And he is drilled as soon as he caught it. A little slow getting up.
Yeah, and Kevin King a little slow. Number 20, the corner who's had a couple of struggles tonight. He was slow getting up as well.
And that's the end of the third quarter with Oregon on the move after Washington scored to cut it to 10. 3 quarters in the book. Back to Seattle in a moment. Welcome back to Seattle. They're working on, or they were, on Tristan Vizcaino, the kicker, who made that touchdown-saving tackle on the return, and you'll see why here as his right knee slams into the ground. Adams takes the snap and gives to Griffin. Griffin can't get outside as Washington swarms, and a big loss back to the 16. And Jerry Punch with an update. Doc?
Yeah, Tristan Vizcaino's right knee has been evaluated. He's limping around here, but he's been evaluated by Dr. Albert G. for any ligament injury. The report I get is everything is negative. He has a little bit of a sprain, but nothing serious, which is the good news.
All right, thank you, Jerry.
Nice job by Corey Littleton there, the other taller outside linebacker across from Feeney.
Loss of 11. Adams. Flag is down. Adams throws for the end zone, but too high. This looks like a hold again.
Well, you certainly didn't want your quarterback to throw away, or excuse me, to throw a pick there. And Adams now
holding
down,
number
grab,
76
walking a little funny.
The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Of course, a field goal, a big deal here. It makes it a 2-touchdown game instead of a touchdown and a field goal. So in the fourth quarter, a big deal. But Vernon Adams came up a little limpy. He was grabbing on his right toe, pulling back on it there on a moment before. But we'll check the footage when he was scrambling, see if he got injured.
And Schneider, who is nearly automatic, will try from 32. He has hit from 28 today. This one in his career. 2.
Boy, that ball just came out and went dead left. I'm not so sure that maybe the hold by Taylor Alley, the holder.
Well, it was a dead snap hook, that's for sure.
Yeah, that ball, and this is a guy you mentioned, Schneider. Aiden Schneider has been automatic in his 2 years. Ball looks down, laces a little in, but that ball just was a dead yank to the left.
It wasn't even close, really.
No.
And that's a huge break for Washington if they're going to make a comeback. Right now, they're down a touchdown and a field goal.
And think about the kicker, Tristan Vizcaino. What did he get out of saving the tackle? Well,
yes, sir.
No points. That was a touchdown for Braylon Addison, and Vizcaino made the tackle. May have gotten hurt.
There's another in-cut completion, this time to Lennius. And Browning seems to love throwing that ball inside.
How about that? Braylon Addison gets a 90-yard kickoff return, and you get
Zippo.
Yep.
Browning with a fake. There's that post again. And Mickens never got his head around.
Mickens did not know that he was supposed to be throwing a route. There has been a couple of these miscommunication issues And this is a run throw. Yeah, just
Mickens is looking at the safety.
Receiver and quarterback obviously not on the same page. Wasted down. 3rd and 3 here. This is where that slant.
Shift the power of the formation to the right. Fake the run and then throw deep. And it's out of bounds. There was some contact there, but that kind of hand fighting, I don't think they're going to throw a flag. Well, it was intended for Mickens.
Well, and the young quarterback Browning on a 3rd and short is going for everything. And that's just, you've got to call that.
There was a push at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Christian French, the outside backer, running step for step. A little bit of a mismatch you want. Ball thrown, it was almost out of bounds, but that looked like it may have been pass interference. It wasn't egregious, so maybe you keep it in there, but I don't think that was the read Browning was looking for.
Perhaps the thought was that it was uncatchable. Addison trying to add to his kick return magic. Ball's loose. No signal yet.
And a flag comes in late from an official coming into the pile.
There were players trying to pull each other off, and they're not going to let them do that anymore. And Oregon got it back. Big break for the Ducks. How big would that have been at the 33-yard line? Chris Peterson exercised about something. The Washington player was pulling an Oregon player off the pile after the Oregon player pulled another Washington player off. So I don't know how you sort this out. Both teams were guilty from up here, at least.
The fumble was recovered by Oregon after the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 11. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 5 of the receiving kicking team. These penalties offset both players' first unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
So they got it right. Both teams were doing the violation, pulling players off the pile. That's a point of emphasis in a word this year. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to beautiful Seattle, Washington, where the Ducks, with their starting quarterback back at the helm, are leading Washington 23-13. Oregon has the football. They start at their own 33. They'd love to work on the clock with 13:09 to go and a 10-point lead. Fake it inside, go out to Addison. He'll pick up 3 or 4. Brian Clay made the tackle.
And that was Dwayne Stanford over there getting up a little slow. A couple bodies flying around over there.
I don't know about you, Ed, but I couldn't be any more impressed by Adams.
It's the impressive part is we knew he could throw the long ball. We knew he was accurate. He is so good in the pocket and so good when he breaks out of it.
He keeps and then tosses on an option play to Stanford. How about that?
How do you defend this? This game has changed. Oh,
what
boy,
a
Adams.
Design on that.
I think
Looks
Adams
like
is dealing
cramps.
with some calf cramps. Yeah, earlier we saw him go down and grab his right foot and pull up, and that's what you do there to get the cramp. But this just became an option out of nowhere. Stanford over there, although he stepped out of bounds, a nice play. But now with Adams hobbled, and if those cramps keep going in your calves, it gets to a point where you can't move or throw.
No, and they're not going to go away. Freeman, and he's got enough for the first down to move the sticks.
Freeman is one of those guys who just, when you watch him running, it's always moving forward. That was well defended at the point of attack by Washington. Elijah Qualls, the nose guard, did a nice job, but he just continued to make little 6-inch moves until he picked up a big first down for Oregon.
And Adams still concerned about his legs. Here he wants a screen. Almost intercepted. The pass was too high off the hands of Braylon Addison, nearly picked.
I think you have to be careful if you're Oregon with the health of your quarterback. If he is, in fact, he jumps to throw that ball there. We have not seen him do that today. We've seen him with good feet stand and throw it. And I'm not so sure he feels good pushing off his feet right now. And that was a really inaccurate throw in traffic.
2nd down and 10. Nice tough run by Freeman. I want to ask Jerry Punch a question. Doc, it's my experience, once somebody starts getting cramps, they're not going to go away unless they have an IV. Is that close?
Well, normally that's the case, Mike. In fact, in this Oregon offense, the doctors and I were talking prior to the game, that's an issue they battle because of the amount of the rapidly running plays they do. It's so much offense. But that you got a player injured on the field. But that's one of the reasons that they try to really push fluids on the sidelines at Oregon, because of how, with the no-huddle rapid offense, number of plays, cramping can be an issue. And but normally IVs are not an issue here for Oregon.
All right, Jerry, and one of the Washington players is down. We will check on him when we come back.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Wall Clippers and Trimmers. Real guys, real grooming. Visit wallrealguys.com.
The 1991 University of Washington football team, arguably the finest team in school history. Don James Huskies split the national championship with the Miami Hurricanes, and a key member of the UW offensive line, the man who currently sits to my right, Ed Cunningham, who was the Huskies starting center at that point. Washington could not play Miami in a bowl game because the Pac-10 winner was contractually obligated to play in the Rose Bowl, and then that following spring, Ed Cunningham was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals and enjoyed a fine career with them. You, sir, were enormous.
Yeah,
What'd you lose, about 100 pounds?
Yeah, I'm now more like an accountant than a center. But how far it has fallen, how much this has changed. Oregon was a team that we were 3-1 when I was here against Oregon. We didn't think much about them, but boy, has it changed. And we were talking earlier, it really has been the offensive line for Washington. Hasn't quite been what it was under Don James, that's for sure.
Oregon has moved to the Washington 34. That pass overthrown by Vernon Adams.
You go back to the that 3rd down run by Royce Freeman, and with Vernon Adams, and by the way, Travis Feeney that we saw injured before we went to break, it looked like he had a pretty significant arm injury in the replay. We didn't want to show you that replay. Obviously, he was in a tremendous amount of pain, but it looked like it was an arm injury that he went down with. That's a big loss in this part of the game for Washington, and a big loss if Feeney is out for any extended time. A terrific player off the edge for the Huskies.
Adams throws the post down to the 6-yard line, and again Carrington was wide open. Flag is down. That may have been on the hit.
Yeah, I think they may get Brian Clay for targeting on this. This would be the 2nd week in a row that the Husky defense has suffered a targeting call. Azim Victor, of course, was ejected last week, rightfully so, against USC with a clear targeting hit on Cody Kessler.
Well,
and
wasn't it ever?
Yeah, and now it looks like, what a terrific move.
Targeting. Number 35 of the defense. This play is under further video review.
Now so they'll take a look at this. They can review all parts of this.
Yep. Well, and this one's easy. There are 2 different types of foul. There are 2 different types of targeting fouls. It's the top of the helmet. So watch as the head goes down as he launches into him. Now, this is a call. The reason they call this is for the safety of the defensive player. I think that this is going to be upheld. So targeting with the hit by the crown of the helmet in any situation. So that means doesn't have to be a defensive player, doesn't have to be a quarterback or a receiver going out of bounds.
It doesn't have to be to the head.
Yeah, it's just the top of the helmet anywhere on the bottom. I think this was a terrific call, and it is put in here so that It's for the safety of the hitter. That compresses your neck in a way that is extremely dangerous. This is why we have this call in here, and also dangerous because it looked like the contact may have been in the head and neck area as well.
Well, he is ejected for the remainder of this half. He will be out of action for the first half of the Stanford game, which is their next opponent. So it is a full.
And he hits with the crown of his helmet.
I mean, even if you hit the man in the stomach or the knees with the crown of your helmet, it's supposed to be a foul.
And by the way, how about Vernon Adams? He's got cramping calves. He still moves out of the pocket. And Darren Carrington made an excellent move to get open. But boy, what a difference it makes for this Oregon offense to have Adams at quarterback.
Handed off to Addison.
I almost feel like if I'm Oregon, I want to run a couple of times into the line of scrimmage here and just kind of melt this thing away. They're headed for, unbelievably, in this series, the 12th straight win for Oregon over Washington.
Isn't that unbelievable?
It is. And, you know, from my time here at Washington to now, from Rich Brooks handing it off to Mike Bellotti, who handed it off to Chip Kelly, who has handed it off to Mark Helfrich, the consistency that they have built in this program is really impressive.
Freeman was stuffed in the backfield. Tupou.
Number 90 for Washington must leave the game. One play as a result of helmet loss.
Lost his helmet, so he's got to come out unless it's taken off of him by another player.
Taniela Tupou did a wonderful job at the point of attack. And here now, 3rd and goal. Once again, if you're Oregon, a field goal is a big deal here. You get the 2 touchdowns. So I don't think you need to be super aggressive here. You certainly don't want a turnover at this point in the ballgame.
But if they were to get a touchdown, it would pretty much salt this thing away.
It sure would be nice.
Freeman is the setback. Addison goes in motion, then comes back. Blitz. Adams gets away from it, throws for the end zone, incomplete.
Nice call by Pete Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator. He brought one more than Oregon could block. And that's a big deal. Forcing a field goal here is a big deal, Mike. You're right. If you get 7, it's over. It's over. And now you send your offense back out only down 2 touchdowns.
And there's still plenty of time to go in this game, over 9 minutes, and it would still be a 2-score ball game. Schneider has hit from 28, missed from 32. This is a chip shot from 24. And he's true on this one. So 11 out of 12 on the year for Schneider, and it's a 13-point lead for the Ducks. Arizona State, Utah, currently on ESPN. After that wraps up, Sports Center at night. Full breakdown of the day in college football. Highlights, post-game coverage from both MLB League Championship Series. Sports Center at night. The Washington defense held Oregon to 3 touchdowns and 6 red zone trips. That was a big one here because it leaves it at a 2-score game. McClatcher from the goal line.
Boy,
as the seam almost broke that last tackle.
Well, we were talking about the Oregon coaching tree, and Rich Brooks really just doesn't get enough credit. He was in the middle of the Don James era here at Washington, put together a good program and had to do it with not good-looking uniforms. Now the uniforms, of course, different than Mike Bellotti was the head coach at Chico State, was also on a 70s failed TV show called The Mustache. And then he went and hired a guy named Chip Kelly out of the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire, an offensive coordinator who then, of course, took over as the head coach. He promoted Mark Helfrich to offensive coordinator, then promoted him to head coach. And it really goes back to Rich Brooks and the development of what they call the Oregon way, which is the process that they go through when they're recruiting players, what they expect, And now we're going to get a personal foul.
Because of the crowd reaction, I think, is why the flag came. It's amazing how often that happens. You know, you're right about Rich Brooks. He went on to the Cardinals, or the St. Louis Rams, and really never got the credit.
Penalty, automatic first down.
Never got the credit he deserved there because he was working with an empty closet.
Yes.
And did a heck of a job for that franchise.
And then Brooks went on to do a nice job at the University of Kentucky. And so I don't think enough credit has been given because, you know, such great success for Mike Bellotti, Chip Kelly, and Mark Helfrich. But you forget that the foundation of this program and how they have become a top 10 program is because of Rich Brooks and what he did.
Well, I thought the first call on this series was odd because it's a run. They got the 15-yard penalty for it, and I think this is really odd.
Yeah, you're that clock is really starting to melt away. And I know you haven't felt really comfortable in your throw game, but goodness gracious, this is a lot of time to be wasting off the clock and looking like they're running a first half traditional offense.
Now, you need 2 touchdowns. Well, I don't.
Yeah. And they have, Washington has the ability to get it out on the edge and do some different stuff. We've seen Chico McClatcher and the speed that he has. They've talked about getting him more involved, but they have not been able. This, you're right. It almost feels like they're the team that's up by 2 scores here. Yeah.
I mean, they're turning Gaskin into a workhorse. This time they fake it to him. Pressure. And an incomplete pass. Doc, what do you have?
Well, good news for the Huskies of Washington. One of their senior leaders, one of their leaders on defense, Travis Feeney, evaluated on the bench. Right shoulder retaped and evaluated. Put the shoulder pads back on. He will be back in the ball game on the next defensive series.
That is a big deal. He was in a ton of pain when he went down on that last series.
Browning throws back against the grain and has it complete to Levon Coleman. Coleman inside the 30-yard line.
There you go. Feeling a little more urgent for Washington.
Clock stopped temporarily while they moved the sticks. It's running again. The 9th different receiver that Browning has hit tonight. Fake to McClatcher. Come back the other way with Gaskin. That's the same play where they broke it for a long touchdown run.
But tick, 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 tick. And the way that Oregon can run the ball. They haven't been dominant running tonight. The front for Washington has held up pretty well. This is an offense for Oregon that averages over 300 rush yards per game. Jonathan Smith, the offensive coordinator.
I mean, the bottom line is they need a touchdown, a stop, and another touchdown, and the clock is just burning away. And every play is taking forever to snap it. Browning will keep. Dives to the 15-yard line. Heck of a run by Jake Browning.
Got good speed. He's not the most elusive guy. He's not going to make a bunch of people miss, but when he decides to take off, he has shown the ability. But if he doesn't go down here, I'm not sure he doesn't run for a whole bunch more. The Oregon defenders smartly started pulling off because they don't want to get a defenseless player hit or a roughing. But if Browning keeps his feet, he might have walked in because those guys were pulling off.
Play clock's already down to 11 seconds. And they give it to Gaskin. He'll get about 3.
Boy, if I'm Oregon, I'm loving this play calling right now.
Well, they're playing it like they're down 1 touchdown instead of 2.
Yeah. And for Oregon, their strength is their defensive line. On the defense, they've got some depth. They've really built that. You know, we've seen Henry Mondu, a big, tall sophomore they've built, of course, DeForest Buckner, and Alex Balducci's been playing well. This is Washington, and of course, the weakness for Washington is they have a young offensive line that's inexperienced. So strength against weakness, and my goodness, are they eating a lot of clock.
That ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. It looked like Buckner got a fingertip on it. The ball actually went up and was still spiraling. Well, let me say this. Chris Peterson is an offensive genius. Maybe we're missing something in our criticism of this. But
look, if you put it all into context, they have a true freshman quarterback. They have a true freshman running back in because Washington's been out, who's the better pass receiver. So I can see being cautious. You have you have a true freshman left tackle. You have a young offensive line. But, boy, it doesn't matter now because of the incomplete pass, but the plays before, just a lot of clock to eat.
3rd and 8. Flag is down. That's going to be a hold. They won't care. The ball's loose. And now they'll whistle it dead.
Boy, I think that ball was alive.
The quarterback was ruled down prior to loss of possession.
Now.
And that kills the play.
Boy, I'm really surprised that they blew a whistle. You remember Utah-Oregon last year on that return when the Utah guy dropped the ball? This looked like a fumble. That's all the way.
Number 44 of the defense.
That's just a horrible call.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered because they called a personal foul against DeForest Buckner. So the fumble.
Just on principle.
Yeah, the fumble by Tyson Coleman, that looked all the world like it was going to be a fumble return for a touchdown because Washington had quit. Now, it doesn't matter. Buckner put hands to the face of an offensive lineman, so he was called for it. So a really big break for Washington.
So Washington gets an enormous gift.
And no reason to review it now because you had the penalty, so wouldn't even have mattered had they reviewed it, and it wasn't recovered in the immediate action, so I'm not sure they could have given it to him anyway.
1st and goal, and it's a running play. Holy cow. Even though Gaskin gets really good yardage down between the 1 and the 2, it's another 45 seconds off the clock by the time you snap the ball again.
Yeah, you're getting to a place where you're going to have to make a stop the next time Oregon has the ball. Earlier in this drive, you could make the argument that you would have 2, maybe 3 more possessions just in the normal flow of the game, and now you're almost guaranteeing that you may only get 1 more if you're lucky.
Now you're hearing some rumbles from the crowd. I mean, we're under 4 minutes to go now. I mean, they're reaching the point where they might have to onside kick it.
Yeah, this is, and you can hear the fans. This is poor clock management. And I know you have a true freshman quarterback, and you're still trying to find yourself, but
and now you use the timeout.
Yeah, the fans are right to be a little upset.
Their second timeout of the half.
Although this game feels like it's been out of hand, it's not. You're only down 2 scores, but they really have not. Washington has not looked like they felt comfortable in this position at all.
NFC East battle in Week 6 of Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Eli Manning and the first-place Giants against DeMarco Murray and the Eagles. Our coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Well, this has become a Seahawk town. It's always been a bit of a Seahawk town, obviously, but even more so with the recent surge and a bit of downturn for the Husky program. So
they play the Panthers tomorrow. 3rd down and goal. Touchdown. Mickens. Nice throw from Browning. They may look back at this and call it the drive that took forever, but they're within a touchdown.
Here's the problem, though, with 1 timeout. Mickens with a wonderful freeze and cross route. It's actually pretty nice coverage by Jawan Williams.
Yes,
made a nice reaction, but that was a great route by Mickens. Just froze him. Good protection. And now, I think you have to seriously consider an onside kick if you're Washington. 3:35, 1 timeout. A 1st down in this game could be over.
Welcome back to Seattle. Ed, the point you made while we were going to break, with only 1 timeout, you get a 1st down, and with the play clock going to 40, this one's done.
Yeah, it depends on where in the series that Oregon picks up the first down. But if they're able to burn minute and a half in the first part of the series, then pick up the first down, the game's over. The game's over.
Yes.
So if Washington has to burn their timeout during that series, if Oregon picks up the first down on third down after running some time off, especially with a 40-second play clock, I think you have to consider an onside kick here for Washington.
The argument will be that was our best chance to score by doing it the way we did it. And we had to score the first one to have a chance to get the second one.
And the truth is, for Washington, the run game has been about the only thing that's worked, but it was the time between those plays that was the issue. There was 20 seconds sometimes it felt like, at least 20, if not 15 seconds, it felt like they could have been saving on plays there.
Oregon anticipating the onside kick. And it's Van Winkle. Boots it deep. No one back, and the ball goes out of the end zone. So 3:35 to go, and remember, only one timeout left.
And if you get it, if you with one timeout, if Oregon does not get the first down, you are going to get the ball back for Washington. But now you don't have your timeout. Now you are hurrying. You have to score a touchdown.
And you haven't shown that you have any kind of hurry up. And if you take that kind of time, you may get 2 plays.
But this is where Husky Stadium can really start to become a factor. A lot of the fans have stayed.
And remember, one of the timeouts they called was on a punt.
Good point.
Freeman.
Wow.
Breaks it within a half yard of a first down.
And you know that Oregon's not going to throw it. There's just no way, because an incomplete pass is essentially a timeout. And so now, unfortunately for Washington, that's a big first down play for Oregon.
24 for 133 for Freeman. He's still not to a season's average yet.
Use it all. Don't snap. Yeah, okay. If Oregon was going to snap that with 15 seconds left, I was going to be a little confused. Good work here.
And Freeman has the first down, and that's actually good for Washington, because now after the next play they can use the timeout and stop the clock. I know we're only talking a couple of seconds, but it's something.
Well, it's going to be awfully close. You can't quite run out the clock by taking a knee right now if you're Oregon. You still have to run the ball. You may still have to pick up first down. If the play takes a long time, if there's a long run, you may be able to get out in this series. But I think it's going to take a first down the way I'm doing the math here.
Freeman again. Gang tackled at the 37-38. There's the timeout call. So 2:10 left. They can run 2 more times. That's a minute 20 plus the plays.
Timeout of the game. A 30-second timeout.
Coming into that series with the clock running, Oregon could have gotten about 2:20 off of the clock through the whole series. So at 2:44, there is that difference. Now let's rewind the clock to Michigan State earlier in the game. Michigan couldn't just take knees because of that same difference. They end up having to punt with very little time in the game left. The punter drops it. Michigan State returns for a touchdown. If Washington can get the stop, Oregon's going to be in that same position, I think, to decide what they're going to have to do on fourth down.
The punt should come around 30 seconds on the clock. So then it's up to Washington to decide whether we want to try to rush the punt, get a return, whatever. But if they don't allow the first down, there will be time left on fourth down. You want to bet Freeman gets it?
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a throw.
Freeman straight up the middle, swallowed up. Now the quicker the ball is marked ready for play, the better off for Washington. And the play clock's already running.
Helfrich is doing the math. You can see him just saying, gosh, this is going to be awfully close. If you're Washington, you have to sell out to stop the run here. Does Oregon dare call a throw?
No.
But if you move Adams, the problem, if Adams were healthy, we've seen him struggling with calf cramps, and this is a great idea by Oregon. Take it all the way down to 1 second and use a timeout. But if he wasn't struggling with calf cramps, I think you could move the pocket and say, look, if it's wide open,
right.
Throw it. But I think with his health,
out of the half.
I think you're limited in what you can do here. I don't think you want Vernon Adams standing in the pocket and throwing it, but if he was healthy, I think you may move him and give him an option.
All right, say you run a play into the line, takes 7-8 seconds. That takes you down to 117, 40 seconds
37
on the clock, and we're down to 37 seconds. The punt's going to do it. I mean, you've got to come after it or hope for the return.
And again, we saw today Michigan State with a miracle. Michigan going to punt and return it for a touchdown as time expires.
And how many times did we see it with Texas?
Yeah. Well, he is
Doc, what's going on with
right
Browning?
shoulder.
Well, they have been looking at his right shoulder, his throwing arm and shoulder area for like the last 4 or 5 minutes, and they basically ran over and told both the backup quarterbacks to get loose. So even if Washington gets the ball, you got to wonder if Browning will be back in the football game.
I wonder, they were running the ball so much with Gaskins. I wonder if it was an arm injury. There's still too much time taken.
No, I think if he's hurt, then you bring in somebody else. I don't think you just have him in there to hand off. Adams.
Oregon has taken their second time out of the half, 30 seconds in length.
Saw something they didn't like.
Yeah. Well, I think this is, and Adams is really limping around. We've seen him stretching. It looked like he had cramps. I'm not sure that Adams was going to throw that. I think he was going to run around a little bit and then take a slide and eat some of the clock off.
Some news and notes from earlier in the day. Golson just seems to get better every week. Florida State beats Louisville by 3 touchdowns. Michigan State, in that stunning reversal of fortune at the end, beats their arch rival 27-23. And Baylor had one wide open receiver after another and racked up 62.
Yeah, Baylor's starting to look like a video game. Not college football. I'd be surprised if Adams throws it. I know he was rolling out before, but I think this may be just to try to eat some clock.
If you run wide, it takes longer than just running into the line. A couple seconds might matter. And he's looking to throw. Now he takes off. Throws underneath it, incomplete. And what a favor. Holy cow. I'm not sure about the clock management for anybody right now.
I'm so surprised that Vernon Adams threw that ball. I
That's
thought he was
40 seconds.
Yeah, well, 38 or so. Well, you have the timeout, so you may get the full 40. But that's really one of the first inaccurate throws we've seen from Vernon Adams. And I'm not sure it's not those calves. He's been hobbling around, not comfortable, and he had to jump and throw one time we saw him run, and that had to be the calves there, I think.
Pressure coming. They almost got there, but not quite. A late fair catch signal at the 19-yard line. And now 42-yard kick, but there's 1:11 left in this game instead of, if they had run the ball, there would be no more than 20-25.
And KJ Carta-Samuels comes in. He's worked his way up to second string. The freshman, he's a proficient runner. More of a thrower than he is a runner, though. His brother Austin was a starting quarterback at Vanderbilt back in 2013, and because of the shoulder injury to the starter Browning, the redshirt freshman Carter Samuels comes in to replace him.
He's got one pass this year, 0 for 1. He's run once. That's it.
And look at the defense by Oregon. Nobody even rushing the passer. Everyone walking around, knowing with a new quarterback.
3-man rush. Carter Samuels under pressure. Takes off.
Get out of bounds.
He's taking an awful lot of time. That's a late hit. No flag.
Ooh.
He wasn't far out of bounds, but it looked like he was out of bounds.
Yeah, that was Tyson Coleman. A 15-yarder. Whoa,
You can't do that.
You know, it's the fourth quarter, and there's Browning. He is in some
he's
pain.
just terrible pain right now. That almost gave them an additional 15 yards. If you're Oregon, you can't make that mistake. Carter Samuels again.
Now you got to go fast because the clock's going to start after the first down.
Looking to the sideline.
Oregon just letting, I mean, look at all of these bodies. They're just but there's just no way they're going to keep everything in front of them, make them earn every inch.
Throws underneath, got it to Coleman.
I think you got to think about throwing that ball away. You can't throw the ball underneath. If it's not 15 yards,
doesn't do you any good.
If you're not by the sticks, you can't make that throw.
You really have to take a chance at this point, whether somebody's open or not, and he does. Line drive throw, and it's picked off. Intercepted by Amadi. Well, you feel for him because he's got to throw the ball downfield. You throw it underneath, you may not get to throw it again.
Yeah, and Braden Lenius, the receiver to that side, he didn't see the quarterback give him a look to stop and come back, and the guy who did see that was Ugo Amadi. Makes a wonderful read on this ball to end the game, but Lenius just didn't work his way back, and Amadi does a nice job taking a knee. And what a bummer for the University of Washington. This is now the 12th time that they've lost in a row to Oregon, but made it competitive. Oregon still blows my mind that they threw the ball on third down incomplete to save that much clock.
And Amadi, that was a great play taking a knee, because the only way they could lose is if he runs the ball and fumbles. So he gives up the individual glory of maybe taking one back to the house for a pick six to do the right thing, the smart thing, and take a knee.
Oregon is going to get better and better and better with Vernon Adams at quarterback. They will have something to say in the Pac-12 North. We saw Stanford earlier in the year against Northwestern. If Oregon can get a little better in their secondary, I think they can challenge them. I'm not sure they can't. I don't know that they can win the division, but boy, Oregon's going to look awfully good down the stretch with Adams at quarterback.
How about Washington going forward?
Tough stretch of schedule, very difficult. Let's hope for them. Guys are healthy. They need to get better in the pass game. They get a little better up front, but you can see the tide is turning for Chris Peters.
For Ed Cunningham, Dr. Jerry Punch, and our entire crew, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the ball game. Good night.